Political turmoil in Israel has cast further doubt on the likelihood of a US-led ceasefire deal, with a key member of Benjamin Netanyahu's war cabinet quitting. There's also growing condemnation of an Israeli raid to rescue 4 hostages in which hundreds of Gazans were killed. Our US correspondent Logan Church reports.
One of Israel's wartime leaders calling it quits and condemning the Israeli Prime Minister.
That's huge. That's what I'm saying. This is one of the biggest news stories in the world. This conflict, if indeed you can call it that, this attack, this genocide, this flattening of a civilization, is the biggest news story in the world still. And this is the biggest news headline to come out of that story in several. This guy he's embedded with this plan. He's embedded with the desire to flatten Gaza. I mean, I only say that based on the fact he's been there for so long. I mean, 6 weeks ago, he could have gone, well, this is a bit much for me. I think I'm out of here. He's been in the war room. He's been a part of this. And for him, Joey, it's just got to the point where he's gone, hey, fellas, I think enough is enough. So it's a really interesting time. Really interesting.
Regrettably, Netanyahu is preventing us from advancing toward true victory.
Damaging words from Benny Gantz, who, until today, was part of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's war cabinet and his emergency coalition government. But cracks recently appeared as Gantz demanded Netanyahu come up with a plan for post-war Gaza. That didn't happen.
So Netanyahu cannot see beyond flattening Gaza. Hey, Netanyahu, hey, boss, hey, friend, what's happening after that? I don't know. Plan A, flatten Gaza. And after that?
It's free real estate.
Free real estate.
Beachfront property always sells well.
Yeah, all right.
Gantz is a popular politician and seen as a potential prime minister, as Netanyahu's own popularity falls.
I believe that he's doing what he thinks is best for the country.
I think maybe it can be a positive thing.
I believe we should be united and should be staying strong.
Netanyahu ran on the title Mr. Security. Gantz is a figure of security. The national security leadership of Israel is lining up behind Gantz and saying, with him gone, it's really time for some accountability on what happened October 7th.
This comes a day after Israel launched a successful rescue mission of 4 hostages.
That word successful is carrying a lot of water.
Yeah,
Successful?
I have a lot of criticism of the media with their reporting of this story.
Successful. We'll see how successful it is.
Hostages held by Hamas, which the Israeli Defense Force released more footage of today. But the mission resulted in large numbers of Palestinian casualties.
How many?
Children. The US is trying to get
How
Hamas
many?
to agree to a ceasefire deal that's already on the table. But today, US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said it was hard to say whether any hostage rescue attempt would impede efforts to get a deal across the line.
We see individual instances that we have spoken out about, where we would like to see them operate differently, where we would like them to be more precise, more targeted in their operations.
The US Secretary of State is expected to land in the region in the coming days in an effort to try and broker a deal. Not an easy task as the violence continues.
There you go. Now, you said you've been looking at this through the weekend, Cherie. Have at it, sir.
Major headline: successful Israeli raid rescues 4 hostages. Major details left out of that. 210 civilian casualties.
Yeah, wow.
Over half of them children. They used artillery, aerial bombardment, and a commando raid that was put on shore from the emergency aid jetty that the Americans built. They delivered those commandos in the back of an aid truck to the strike zone. That is despicable, and I think just absolutely underlines the whole thing that we've had around this latest kerfuffle in the area. The value that they will put on Israeli lives versus the piles of dead civilians, dead civilian children that the Israelis are willing to stack up to achieve victory.
Yeah.
And it's very clear to me that the victory is parking lot that they can do whatever they want with.
Two things, yeah. What you've just described is a war crime, right?
Absolutely.
Civilians, using, because you're not allowed to use a medical kind of, vehicle or something to sneak in, the sort of thing. So I would think it would be the same about aid vehicles. War crime. The other thing is, I know we're looking at Benny Gantz at the moment thinking, whoa, maybe he's doing the right thing. To me, he comes across as a bit of a Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney's voting record in America was abysmal. Voted every time with Trump. Supported the regime of Trump all the way through. Rebelled against the person who was Trump. I don't think because it seems that Benny Gantz has been around for a good long while, we should be jumping up and down going, a good guy in the cabinet. Now, maybe there's been a falling out. Maybe it's a personal thing. We just don't want to give him credit for being kind of the one voice of sanity when, so he's gone out now and he's gone this. So he's not actually saying Israel did the wrong thing or Netanyahu did the wrong thing. He's actually saying Netanyahu hasn't given a good structural direction for where. So what this is probably more of a coup than it is someone finding their morality, because he's now saying that they haven't found a space, they haven't found a way forward. Meaning the next message from him will be, I've got a way forward, and that'll be where it comes from.
It strikes me as a man positioning himself. It doesn't strike me as someone that has just gone, this is too much blood and horror and I can't be part of it. I think his statement would be very different in that case.
Yeah.
At this point, he's saying that Netanyahu's major failing is he has no clear path to victory.
Yeah.
So this guy still thinks he has a path to victory here. It's not personal accountability. It is him positioning himself to be potentially the next prime minister, the next leader, as he sees Netanyahu's popularity plummet.
Yeah,
it's a tactical move from him.
Yeah. Yep. So let's just be careful not to sing his praises too much. When I keep talking about it's the biggest news story, I think fraction or a crack in that war room is big news. And I guess if getting rid of Netanyahu would be a step, but then again, you're always got to remember that thing. It's like Chewy kept talking about through the election, change. Doesn't mean good change. What if, like they always talk about Ron DeSantis being like Trump with a brain. Everyone's like, let's not get Trump. Someone like DeSantis. But that might be worse, because now that this authoritarian, fascistic, fascist aligned vibe is coming through the Republicans, then someone with an actual brain may be able to get in there and make it even worse. They might actually be able to use that setup to be worse. So I'm not saying this again to say we shouldn't get a Netanyahu, but the caveat is always, the grass is always greener. Now, does it end up being greener? We don't know that until the change has been made, but just be aware that this guy is not necessarily one of the good ones. He's one of the people who have said one thing once, it seems like, Chewy.
Yeah, before we move away from talking about Israel, I don't know if you can see the clip that I've got queued up there.
Not really.
I saw this clip over the weekend of this absolutely fantastic interaction between an Israeli spokesperson and a news presenter from, I believe, an Indian news outlet, where the Israeli spokesperson comes in hot about the color of the sari that the host is wearing, and I just want to play this because it is spectacular how on a couple of things, how poorly controlled the Israeli spokesperson is, and just how competently he is put in his place by this presenter.
Decide where you sit and where you stand, and I can see the colors that you are wearing this evening. And that's why I am purposely wearing blue and white. Because with all due respect to the green, the red, and the black that you have purposely put on this evening, blue and white will always prevail.
Let's not divide colors on the basis of religion. It sometimes happens in my country as well. Let's not do that. Also to tell you, Frederick, the garment I'm wearing is a sari, and it's my grandmother's. If she was alive, she would have been about 105 years old today. She didn't know what his Israel-Hamas conflict was, and this sari in no way signifies any support for any side. What has happened in Gaza, the bombing of the hospital, 5 people dead, is simply criminal. What I'm wearing right now is simply my grandmother's sari. It signifies nothing else. Frederick, I will not let you choose what I wear, and I will not let you choose what I say. I will say what I have to say, and I will speak the truth the way I see it. Truth, of course, has many versions. There is one version coming from Israel, and there's another version coming from Gaza. We've put both out. That is our journalistic duty, Frederick.
Yeah, that's.
I just thought that was a fantastic clip. I love how casually she kind of mentions that the sari is older than Israel is. So there's that. But I just found that interesting, like from a public relations point of view, you're going on a TV show to defend Israel, to come in that fucking hot. It's just, what school of public relations did that guy go to?
Your clothes offend me, says Tom Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, actually. In fact, there's been quite a few of those. I think even our beloved Piers Morgan had a really good crack at an IDF spokesperson the other day. So
Yes,
they've been popping up on
twice,
my feed.
actually,
Yeah.
2 separate occasions.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't got those clips lined up, but basically from my memory is he was just hammering them for an answer of how many civilian casualties are too much and how many are acceptable. It was an absolute, like, there is no way to answer that question.
Yeah.
So he was really setting them up. But it's like, Piers Morgan is a horrible person.
He's a very good interviewer, though. I mean, you're allowed to say, that's like I've always said that Leighton Smith is the yardstick for talkback. As a talkback host, he is the best this country's ever seen. Doesn't mean I like his politics, but you can actually take a step back. Piers Morgan actually can be a very good interviewer when he wants to be. He just believes his head is full of lard. That's the problem with his ideas. But his skill at being an interviewer is okay.
And you can certainly, you know, it's like, just because he's got it right on now, finally, and on this particular topic, doesn't mean that he's right all the time. And nor should you ever look at someone and go, this person is right all the time. Like, it's a quick trip to a hiding.
I'm leaving it to you because you started, but you got to put Tafari's message up. That was brilliant.
I absolutely love this comment of the night. Sorry, not sorry. Absolutely fantastic.
If that's just brought up just now by you, Tafari, you are a incredibly gifted human being, far funnier than anyone else up here and cleverer at the same time. If it's someone else as you saw it and you're using it, more power to you.